I'm Appelusa, and this is your intermediate instructional video for balance slalom edges for you, 1 foot and 2. So what that means is we're going to be learning how to edge on 2 feet around what I've set up is some condiments. In a rink, you'd be doing this around cones. You can grab anything that might be helpful for you to visualize going around: a remote control, a packet of ketchup. And we're going to be doing that on 2 feet. Then we're going to be doing a figure 8, just really holding your edge. Then we're going to try everything on 1 foot. That's the challenge. So just to start, go ahead and put both feet planted on the ground. Put your hands on your hips. Rotate your hips as far as you can and your shoulders. And then I want you to press on the outside edge of your left foot and the inside edge of your right foot. So if I took a picture of my feet in my boots, they would be doing this. I'm lifting up the inner arch of my left foot and the outside edge of my right foot. I'm not lifting up my wheels, just my actual feet are pressing that hard on the outside and inside edge. And I'm rotating my hips. I'm more or less keeping a center alignment for the head in between the feet, maybe a little lean towards the outside edge of the left foot. Okay? And keep those hips rotated. Now I'm also making sure my knees are bent, and I'm actually lifting my toenails to the top of my boot. That's ensuring that I'm not putting weight and cramping down my toes. That's pretty typical for more beginner intermediate skaters, is to cramp down those toes. So try to loosen them and lift them up as much as possible. Now let's rotate to the other side and do the same thing. So my knees are going to even press a little bit the direction that I'm rotating. My knees are bent. My belly is in. And there we go. Also, one more thing is my toes are isometrically pulling towards the direction I'm going. So as if I'm pulling my toes, but they're not actually doing that. They're isometrically pulling. So let's give that a try. So you're probably going to need more speed, but I could pretty much get going from nothing. So just start rotating your hips and pressing on the edges of your feet. Okay, let's try that again. Outside edge and inside edge, outside edge and inside edge. So there is a little bit of a lean, a slight lean towards the center of your slalom, or towards the condiment. There's definitely a rotation of the hips and shoulders, a bend of the knees, a press, 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 and a lift of the toenails. So I would drill that for about 10 to 15 minutes, just working on the slalom. If you have enough space, like a street or a roller skating rink, you could really take some strong pushes and then practice doing the slalom like you're making a snake shape or a big S, and see how far you can go. And try to make it big and narrow. Let's talk about your action on the bottom of your skates, your trucks or your plates. You want to loosen them to what feels good for you. So depending on your manufacturer's instructions, you want to check that out before you start messing with your plates with your tools. Typically, all you have to do is loosen the nut on the bottom, but it really, really depends on what type of skates you have. So look that up before you try it. But you want to do a quarter turn or a half turn, lefty loosey, righty tighty, and then check them by doing the slalom and see how that feels. You want to loosen the front and the back. Typically, the front will be a little bit looser than the back, but everyone's different. Do what feels good for you. You will know what's too loose, and you should know what's too tight. So just find the just right. So this time I'd like you to try a figure 8. So we're just going to be holding our roll around each condiment and leaning more towards it with your hip. So my hip is almost going right over it as I'm doing that same press and rotation that I showed you earlier. And the same pull of the toes around. And it will be easier to do this with some speed and with them spread apart, but in quarantine, what do you want? One tip for caution I have is never to take the weight all the way off the toes so that you're only on the heel. Your foot can slip out from underneath you, so always keep the weight center to the back, never just all the way back. Don't ever take the weight all the way off the toes. You can lift the toenails, but you can still put pressure on the ball of your foot. You can also put one foot slightly in front of the other. Makes it a little bit more stylized. And my weight is kind of more to the back and outside and to the back and inside. Always keep your knees bent. Rotate your hips, really turn them. It doesn't look like I am, but I'm really turning them as far as I can. That's what helps you get around the cone. Okay, that's for another class. All right, so let's move on. And again, that's something you can drill for a good 10-15 minutes. So let's move on to outside edges. I'm going to put my left foot in front, start in a T position. You can start already rolling. Now when I open my right toe to do a T, it's going to open my hip, but you don't want that. We want to turn the hips the direction we want to go. So if I want to veer left, I need to turn my hips to the left, press that knee to the outside edge of my left foot. My knee is bent, of course, and I'm going to push off, and I can leave my free leg behind me. Now I always use my arms when I'm balancing, so it's probably a good idea for you to also do that and make sure you're lifting up your core. You can also challenge yourself by putting the free leg in front. Let's try the other foot. So same thing, I'm going to rotate my hips, I'm going to press my knee to the outside edge, push off, and hold. And same thing, I'm going to turn my hips, make sure I'm pressing over the outside edge. I might be lifting up my arch slightly. Now to do an inside edge, this is a tricky one. My recommendation would be to try to get the hips over the foot to where the foot is in between the hips. So the hips slide over. And then you're going to press on the inside edge of your standing foot without moving your hips and without moving your knee to the inside. If you're always trying to do that and you can never hold your foot up, that's why. You want to slide your hips over, find your balance, and just gently press on the inside of your foot without letting anything else move. That's all you need to do. So let's give that a try from a push or from an already rolling. And I'm just going to press on the inside. It takes a lot of practice to do that. Okay, so now let's try to do a slalom on one foot. This is the big challenge. Let me get my condiments. I'm going to start with an outside edge, and then I'm going to lean and rotate my hips towards the first condiment, and I'm going to try not to move my hips and lean towards the second condiment. Outside edge, inside edge. So you'll notice I'm putting my free leg right tucked in by my ankle. Other foot, outside edge, inside edge. Thanks for checking out this tutorial. If this was a little difficult for you, you might want to check out some of the beginner level instructional videos that I have. And if you did like this video, please subscribe and like.